Hello everyone, Santier here, and today I want to talk about discovery. And I want to do so through a specific lens, using a metaphor with a Magic the Gathering tournament. Now, a couple of definitions off the top. Also, just as a heads up, you do not need to know very much about Magic the Gathering. I'll cover just the very high-level overview of what you do need to know. But first, I should explain what discovery is. So discovery, and the way that I'm using it here, is the process of connecting people to content they will enjoy. This is important for a lot of platforms. YouTube, Steam are a couple of good examples of places where discovery really matters. Twitch would be another one. Now, it's important to understand that this process is very complicated. There are a lot of pieces kind of involved in trying to connect people to content. The incentive system is another matter, but it's important to address, I think, very briefly. The incentives are aligned for these companies, these content delivery platforms, let's call them, with making money. So they don't necessarily care what content they deliver to you, as long as you make them more money. So in the case of something like Twitch or YouTube, it's having you watch advertisements or pay money to like memberships or subscriptions, cheer bits, those sorts of things. Anything that they can do to encourage you in that regard, they want to do. The incentives are not aligned with promoting specific users or specific content creators, specific YouTube channels or specific Twitch channels or specific games on Steam. That's not where their incentives are aligned. Their incentives are aligned with whatever will encourage you, the user, to make them more money, is effectively what it is. So that's an important sort of framework to understand as kind of a baseline. So discovery is a big challenge, though, because you have to try to identify what's content that people are going to like, and then what is the type of content people are going to like. Where is that content? How can we get those connected? And this is where you kind of see certain popular things kind of bubble up. So Magic the Gathering is a trading card game. There's a lot of strategic elements involved, and there have been tournaments run. And these tournaments will have a structure. It's usually called... Usually they've run them with Swiss with a top to cut 8. All that means is that you play against people who are doing about as well as you in each round of the tournament. So first round you could be paired with anyone. Then the winners are paired with each other, and the losers are paired with each other from the matches in the first round. Then the second round, the people who have won their first two matches... Yeah, the first two matches by the time you get to the third round are going to be paired. The people who have won one match and lost one match get paired, etc. And then at a certain point, you cut to a top 8, and then you do single elimination tournaments. That's typically the structure that they've run. Now, the environment for any particular tournament is going to change based upon what cards are out and being used in that particular tournament, which leads to the format, or the metagame, of what decks are considered good. This is similar to trending, to what sort of things are being popular right now, what sort of games are being popular to stream on Twitch, what sort of videos are on the trending page, for example, on YouTube, what are the popular hits. Then you eventually, you'll have people trying to navigate that environment and seeing if they can win. So there's a couple of things that are really important to winning. One of them is to be skilled. You have to be good at the game of Magic. Likewise, you have to make good quality content. But that's not enough. And that's not necessarily 100% the determiner. Usually it is a pretty significant contributor, but there's a lot of people who are doing really good stuff. And some of them rise to the top. Some of them don't. And so this is where we have to reach another very important thing, which is luck. Luck is incredibly important to being able to succeed. In the case of Magic the Gathering, it's did you draw well? That's always important in any sort of game with random elements. There's hidden information. What sort of matchups did you end up with? So did you make something that is really popular and you got matched up with stuff that is suddenly new and you're completely unprepared for it? It starts taking things by storm. You can have new trends emerging in the middle of things, and what you thought was popular is no longer going to function in this new environment. That's some bad luck. That can happen. So winning a tournament, yeah, you have to be good, but you also have to get lucky. You have to dodge bad matchups. You have to draw well. And here's the thing, though, that's really important and why I think it's a really interesting comparison. There will be a winner. Nobody runs a tournament expecting there to not be a winner. There's going to be somebody who comes out on top. There's going to be somebody, your second and third place. There's going to be all the way down, all your bracketed down. However many people you have in the tournament, that's how many positions there are. And sure, some ties here and there might make things a little bit wonky, but all of those positions are going to be filled. Somebody is going to win. But who wins is a combination of skill and a lot of luck. And that's, I think, a way that Discovery tends to work as well. There's a lot of people who are qualified to win. They have made a good content or a good deck. They know how to play it well. But they got bad matchups. Or they got unlucky in some way. They released their video and maybe the timing ended up not working out so well. Or maybe for whatever reason, some sort of glitch or error happened and it didn't catch on initially and get going with the algorithm. Somebody is going to win. Somebody is going to be number one on trending. Somebody is going to be at the top. That is inevitable. Someone will. The system doesn't care who. It doesn't really matter to it. It just needs somebody there. And inevitably, someone's going to be there. But it matters to the individual. It matters a lot to the individual, whether or not they're the one in that position. And the way that these sorts of systems tend to work is they're very... we talk about a pyramid, right? Or a triangle, where there's a broad base at the bottom of people who didn't win. People who got unlucky or brought the wrong deck or had a bad night's sleep or whatever in the case of a tournament. People who released a video that just didn't click or their thumbnail just didn't work for some reason or their title just didn't catch the trends. Maybe people have just gotten tired of that game that they're trying out, or maybe they're trying something new and they're just not catching views. These systems tend to, like discovery systems, tend to push people towards what's popular because they know it's popular. People like it. And again, their goal is to keep you on the platform. It's to make money off of your views through advertisements. It's connecting you with content that you'll give money for. But not necessarily all the different varieties, the different niches that you might like. And as a creator, you don't know, somebody is going to do well, and you might have all the things in place to do well, but you just don't have things come together for you. You don't get that luck. And so I think it's really interesting to sort of compare how somebody is going to win the tournament, somebody's going to do well at making content, provided the platform has any sort of, attention whatsoever. Somebody's going to do well on it. But there's so many other factors that go into determining who ends up at the top of either. And a lot of these systems tend to push, a lot of these discovery systems tend to push what's popular because that's what's beneficial to them. So it's really interesting to think about. The question then is, does this create problems when discovery? In tournament, that's working as intended, right? But in discovery, it does create a lot of problems for people who are making the content. It creates the problem where they're going to have a very hard time, potentially, being able to connect with an audience that will like their stuff. And I know from my own videos that if YouTube decides to show a video to more people, it's going to find more of the people who like it. If they decide to show it to fewer people, it's just going to be viewed less. Now, there's all sorts of things that go into that. Click-through rates on thumbnails and all that sort of stuff is important. But it's a simple numbers game. The more people get a chance to determine whether or not they want to watch the video, to view it, the more people will. It's just how it works. So there's a lot of impact there. And I think it would be very interesting to see a platform that, rather than being driven by advertisers and ad revenue, because keep in mind, a lot of these platforms, they're content creator agnostic. They don't care who's making the content as long as people are watching it and, more accurately, are watching the advertisements or are choosing to subscribe to the channel, etc. Obviously, Twitch's emphasis on subscriptions is a slightly different model, but not that different from what YouTube's doing. They don't really care. But if they were incentivized to care about the individual creators, but this is where creators would have to pay to be on the platform, and that creates an entirely different paradigm. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. I thought it was an interesting thing to think about, and I hope you all enjoyed it and it gave you something to think about as well. And until next time, everyone, take care and goodbye.